we remember when we went through the pandemic, it was, we talked about the strength of the host, right? Why are we talking about the strength of the virus? We're having the wrong conversation, because if you have the wrong conversation, it's going to lead to the wrong response. If you have the right conversation, it's going to lead to the right response. We got to respond. We got to take action. We got to take the right action.
Hello and welcome to the Remarkable CEO Podcast, a show dedicated to chiropractors who want to transform their job into a business so that they can have a remarkable practice as part of a remarkable life, not instead of one. With your hosts, Dr. Pete Camiolo and Dr. Stephen Franson.
Welcome to another episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. I'm Dr. Pete Camiolo.
And I'm Dr. Stephen, the main thing, Franson.
That's it. This is about the main thing. Hey, let's keep the main thing the main thing. Hey, if this is a podcast that you love and it's added value to you, hey, would you love this podcast? Leave us a review, share it with a friend. We're keeping the main thing the main thing.
That's right.
We love adding value, and we want to be able to help add more value to more chiropractors. We would love for you to let us know how this podcast has impacted you. If you are a regular listener, hey, welcome back. If you're new to this program, welcome. You're in the right place.
Awesome to have you.
Yes, it is awesome to have you. And thank you so much for dedicating a period of your time and that real estate of your time and your mindset, your mind shared to listening to this. We hope this will add huge value to you. We're going to discuss something, Doc, that today on this episode that is very, very practical. We're going to talk about keeping the main thing. And I think today, because of the all that's available to us, you might say it, the shiny objects, all the different options, all the things you can do and ways that you watch your buddies that you graduate with now, they're doing what now? And how are people making money? And what are they doing? And all that. We all see it. We all have to process that emotionally. We're all thinking through this. We see people that tried things that didn't succeed, and we're like, oh man, why'd they do that? And we see people that are doing things that are succeeding. We're looking at our own decisions and what we're doing and seeing what is and what isn't working. Here's the thing that we're going to focus on today: how to make it all work, because you keep the main thing the main thing.
Man, this was something that I went through a season where I know that I started to get confused, right? So I got to a point where I thought that all the patients got it, right? So we had this massive practice and we had all of these wellness patients and everybody's bringing their whole family in, and we're over 1,000 a week, and most everybody was under corrective care or wellness care, right? So it was like you had this tribe of people that they totally got it, right? And so many people were 4, 5, 8, 12 years under care, and I was just like, well, all right, so they already get it. They get the main thing, right? Of course, we're talking about the chiropractic principle. They get the principle of above, down, inside out. They get the truth about how the body really works and how the body really heals, right? So they understand the power of the adjustment and the devastating effects of subluxation. Like, so they're like, they get it. So, I'm learning so much more, and I'm interested in a lot of other things that are going on. The things I'm learning around nutrition and paleo lifestyle and diet style. And I was writing the bonfire program. So I was talking about supplementation and diet style and movement patterns and thought life and journaling and all these other things that were awesome and absolutely aligned and part of the wellness lifestyle. But, I lost sight of the fact that, you know what, you need to keep the main thing, because ultimately they can learn about all of those things anywhere else, right? So next thing you know, you're commoditized because you're just talking about what everybody else is talking about. Now, the uniqueness is, of course, we're looking at it through this lens, this inside out lens, this wellness lens versus, this reductionistic lens. We're looking at through the wellness lens, right? So the vitalistic lens. So of course it was a different flavor and spin that we were sensitive to, the nuance of that presentation. But at the end of the day, since Dr. Google ran into town, right? So you could very quickly become commoditized. Whereas on the other side of it, what I recognize is we had a unique success proposition for our customer, for our patients, for our clients, for our practice members. And that was the truth. And it was the truth about subluxation and the implications of having interference to your nervous system, right? So it was the truth about the chiropractic adjustment and what it means to remove interference to the flow of innate intelligence across that human body to do what the body does best, heal and stay healthy. We had this USP that, we were casting aside, the stone that we cast aside is the cornerstone, right? So, and ultimately I learned the lesson the hard way as I started to see some patients drift off. They discontinued, started missing appointments. They started finding their next trainer, their next pastor, their next nutritional guru, their next, right? So next thing you know, I was like, well, wait a minute. Well, what about your adjustments, right? And ultimately what I had done is I had devalued and eroded the foundation of what is most important and most unique and the most significant thing that we were offering, which of course is the principle of chiropractic care.
That's why I'm wearing this shirt. So I don't know if you see it, but the shirt, it's one of our shirts that we had made, I think it was maybe 2 years ago. Chiropractic makes you stronger. I love all of our swag. I love all the shirts we make. I love all the things. They're messages though. They're reminders of what's true. And, we remember when we went through the pandemic, it was, we talked about the strength of the host. Right? Why are we talking about the strength of the virus? We're having the wrong conversation, because if you have the wrong conversation, it's going to lead to the wrong response. If you have the right conversation, it's going to lead to the right response. We got to respond. We got to take action. We're going to take the right action. And so what we're talking about here is chiropractic is the right response. Okay. And I think we share that conviction. Like I have a deep, deep conviction that chiropractic is the right way to go, that chiropractic should be a part of the lifestyle for humanity, that human beings are better off in alignment, unsubluxated, than out of alignment and subluxated. I believe that to be true. So I believe that each and every person at least should be checked, and they should have the opportunity to be checked regularly by a chiropractor so that they have the best opportunity to express health, which is it's an inborn gift to express health. We have a responsibility to our community to share that message and to keep the tribe, the people with which we've been entrusted with to serve and lead, to remind them of that. Because of the noise, because of all the things that are going on around, it's even more important. It wasn't as noisy 60 years ago. It's more noisy today. I mean, you might have had one newspaper that you could have read in the 1940s or 50s. Maybe there was a magazine you might have read. Maybe you had a radio, you listen to some news. I mean, today it's all day long, this article and this tweet and this thing. And people have so much they need to be grounded and rooted and established on what's true. I love how you said that we toss aside the cornerstone. We tossed it aside. And Doc, I honestly feel, as you were talking, I felt like, you know what? Some of you who are listening to this, you need to listen to this right now. This is like, it couldn't have come at a better time is what you're going to say. Man, I needed to hear that right now. Why? Not that all the other things that you are pursuing and investing in and considering are wrong. It's just, have you moved your pivot foot? Because that's going to create a turnover. You're going to turn the ball over. If you move your pivot foot, Doc, you gave this example. I thought it was so good. It's like the chiropractic principle is your pivot foot in the game of basketball. You got to keep that pivot foot planted on the principle. So that you can play the game. If you've got the ball, and you've got the ball, you have the ball. You are a chiropractor. You've been trained and equipped and developed for such a time as this to deliver the principle of chiropractic to your community. And regardless of all the bells and whistles you can add into your practice or practices, all the specialists and specialties and all the ways that you can do all of that. We believers in that. We're going to share with you some folks that we work with that we recommend, actually. But not without keeping your pivot foot.
It's so critical. If you're a basketball player, you understand what we mean when we say pivot foot, right? So you keep your pivot foot planted firmly on the principle of chiropractic, and you don't pick that foot up. And if you plant your pivot foot, you can move that other foot around, and that other foot might touch diet style, and it might touch supplementation. You might move that other foot to exercise or to a physical therapist or a massage therapist, right? So it might be some breathing exercises or sleep or a special pillow or orthotics, right? So you can be moving your foot all over the place. You might move it over to soft wave over here or to, some type of apparatus that increases the curve of the spine, whether it's like a deneroll or you're doing your spinal hygiene techniques, or, maybe if you are moving that other foot around, that's fine. But you have to always just be one step away from that pivot foot. And that is promoting chiropractic. Like everything you do in the practice that is around the circumference of that centric concept and principle of chiropractic, everything that you do in your practice inside of the business should be to support and optimize your chiropractic care. Everything should actually be there to support and optimize the effectiveness of the chiropractic adjustment. So if you're talking about fish oil, you should be readily able to tie that into the benefits of chiropractic. Be like, listen, subluxation is an inflammatory problem. You have an inflammatory lifestyle, which is slowing down your healing. I want you to take this fish oil, Pete, because it's like an anti-serum to the inflammatory lifestyle, right? Pete, you have an inflammatory issue, right? Subluxation creates soft tissue damage and inflammation. So I want you to use this ice pack to help your body in the healing mechanism. It's going to help you get more out of the adjustment. Dr. Pete, you've had this long-standing subluxation in your low back. It's created this weakness in your low back. So I'm going to have you do these specific exercises to strengthen the spine so you'll hold your adjustments longer. Pete, you've got this new subluxation in your neck that's creating a lot of response from your body. Your body's responding to the instability and the soft tissue damage and the irritation that comes from that. So your very smart body is taking those muscles and taking them from pulleys to straps. You have spasms. I want you to go and see our ART expert or our massage therapist in-house after the adjustment to help them so that you will cope with this better and you'll be able to respond better to your adjustments. Dr. Pete, I want you to change your diet style because it's pro-inflammatory and subluxations and inflammatory problems. So just the way you're eating is slowing down your healing. Dr. Pete, I want you to use this pillow because 8 hours a night, we could be encouraging that cervical curve. Dr. Pete, I want you to use this deneroll because we're trying to correct that cervical curvature. With subluxation, you've lost that healthy curve, that arc of life. Do you guys hear what I'm doing? It's like every single thing that we're doing is tied immediately back to the main thing and keeping your foot planted on that principle so that you're always one step away from whatever you're doing in the practice is to benefit, amplify, optimize the impact of the chiropractic adjustment. You never pick your foot up when you're playing basketball, and you never pick your foot up off of the principle because we know the whistle will blow, you're traveling, and you'll turn the ball over.
It's interesting, Doc. We always talk about it's heart, head, hands, feet. So it's very appropriate that you keep your foot on the principle, right? So you got the heart, right? This is why you do what you do. This is the principle of why you do what you do. Your why is connected all the way to your foot, okay? Your heart is connected to your foot. Your head is what you do, right? So we talk about the chiropractic adjustment. What, Doc, you just walked through, hopefully other people go back and listen to, because these are the things you should be using at table talk.
That's right.
When you're talking to your patients and when you're doing your Better Results Faster workshop, or you're doing your advanced workshops, your body signals programs, and you're sharing about other things.
That was just wellness lifestyle table talk 101 right there, Pete.
High impact. I'm like, all I was thinking was table talk. Like, that's a workshop. You embed that within the workshop. Why? Because you're always planting seeds, always reminding people and tying people back to the principle, always tying it back to the main thing, keeping the main thing. And you said this phrase over and over so that it will help you hold your adjustment better, right? So they will support the adjustments that you're investing and you're getting. It always comes back to helping you hold that adjustment, help you get the results from the adjustments. It's all about driving better patient outcomes through chiropractic and the support. So you named a couple. I just want to share with you, all of you who are listening, a few of the, you talked about the deneroll. These are organizations that we have partnered with. We do work with, spinal hygiene and, working with these. We recommend these as chiropractors. We recommend, from a nutritional side, Aceva, for example, the highest quality products you can take, nutraceuticals, things to put in your body to support any areas of deficiency or toxicity and working out those things. we work with organizations like Softwave so that, you have areas where the body has been injured. There's tissues that have been injured and damaged because of a life of stress, lifestyle of subluxation and stress, right? And these are ways that you can actually expedite and support the bodies and they support the adjustments and healing.
And it's a learning opportunity, right? That's a patient education opportunity when they understand like this technology that we're going to apply here from the outside in, right? So you're teaching them the difference between inside out. Is this what this is doing? This is stimulating an inside out response with those stem cells that may be dormant in this area that are injured. And we're calling the innate intelligence to this area to amplify, right, the effect and the improvement that you'll get with the chiropractic care, right? So it's like ultimately never taking your eye off, or specifically your foot off of that principle.
So when you think about so that's the what, right? So we talk about heart, head is the what. And your decisions about making decisions about what are we going to add into this practice? What products, what services, what are we going to add into this practice that's going to add more value to our patients, help people get better outcomes? It's vital that we connect whatever the product or service is and make it sure it's anchored to the main thing. And I believe that in general, many chiropractors, we are able to do this successfully. But today, more than ever, it's vital because so many principled chiropractors are adding in and wanting to add in these other supportive services because people are coming with more and more complex issues. And, there's more stress on humans than ever before, in the environmental stressors and the chemical stressors and all the stressors of life and the physical stressors. And so all these things have only just continued to magnify and accumulate. And so, of course, wherever those things happen, there's always going to be good that's going to follow, right? Wherever there's darkness, the light will shine. There's always going to be good that's going to come in to support. And so we want to be wise about this as leaders. So that's the head. Then you've got the hands. This is, these are the things that we're going to be doing, the executing, of the work. And we want to make sure that, our team is empowered and equipped with the language, like you just shared. The doctors, your associate doctors that are tableside adjusting, and you're saying, hey, make sure you're promoting these other things that we do here in the office. Make sure that they know, tie it always back to the main thing. If you've got doctors going out and doing workshops, or doing workshops in the office, or you're doing it, or a team member, making sure everyone is trained to bring it back to keeping the main thing. Begin always with the end in mind. It always comes back to that. And then again, you keep your feet, as you go out and you continue to reach your community, continue to serve more people, continue to make a bigger impact, you become the leader in your community. You keep that pivot foot. You keep that pivot foot set. You can move that other foot around. You can go into your community. You can make that difference, but you keep that main thing, the main thing. I'll tell you, 100 years from now, the main thing will still be the main thing.
No doubt, man.
120 years ago, the main thing was the main thing that it is now. And that's the beauty of this.
So good. Yeah, we just want to make sure that, you're hearing us loud and clear. We're all about, both of us, Pete, you had a gym attached to your clinic. I mean, this is like, we want to make sure you guys hear us loud and clear. Use your tools, right? So this is a modern world, and the modern world is unnaturally stressful, right? So people are getting it right, left, and center, right? It's coming at you from, thoughts, toxins, traumas, 360 degrees. We are under assault, right? We've got to use tools. Some of them are outside in. You just have an opportunity to educate your patients around that, right? So, and all of them have to be tied directly to the benefit of chiropractic care. So I want to make sure you don't lose sight of what we're saying here. You can absolutely leverage these elements, but it's all in positioning. And that's the word I want everybody to write down, right? So it's all about positioning. As a CEO, it's your job to drive the narrative, right? So you're the vision caster. Like, you got to make sure that you control the narrative, your market message, your promise. That's positioning. How are you positioning everything? And you've got to control that. Or, you'll lose sight of what is the most important thing, and so will your team. Because you know what? You might find it difficult yourself. It's an uphill battle, but you're constantly talking to people about chiropractic and subluxation and the adjustment and the principle, et cetera. And you're a chiropractor. You spent, 8 years in college, dedicated your entire life to it. You get all the rewards and recognition, right? So imagine how hard it is for your team, when they're up front. So if they're getting any point pushback, resistance, or whatever from your patients, but next thing you know, they start talking about the weight loss class you're going to hold, or the supplements that people can take, or the Softwave that they can get. Next thing you know, there's lots of energy, and people are like, oh, that's really exciting. Everybody loves to talk about, let me take that pill, let me take that supplement, what have you. That's a slippery slope. Right. So next thing you know, you're getting reception and people are energized and they're listening and they're excited. Right. So you've got to get them excited about the principle. Right. So this is our unique selling proposition. And we don't need new things to talk about. We need to stay focused on the unique thing that we have to talk about, which is that foundational truth of the vitalistic lifestyle. When people recognize that chiropractic care is a lifestyle success strategy for healthy human beings, and we have all these complement services around it to support it. That way, the chiropractic adjustment doesn't just become a line item on this laundry list of things that you could do, almost a la carte lifestyle stuff. You've got to make sure that everything is pointing to the center of the wheel. The center spoke of the wheel is the chiropractic adjustment. Pete, last thing I want to say on this is I went through this process, and it was, it was a book reading process, and God was kind of taking me down this path of like, first I read Grant Cardone's 10X Factor when that first came out about 10 years ago. And it fired me up and I'm like, yeah, let's go more. And then the next thing I read was Essentialism, right?
Yeah.
Greg McEwen's book. And I'm like, oh, wait a minute. So Essentialism, I'm like, I went from 10X to Essentialism. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm like Bugs Bunny taking the uppers and the downers, right? So I'm stuck in the middle being like, okay, which way do I go with this? Because both really resonated with me. And then I read Gary Keller's book, The One Thing, right? And then I was like, oh, I'm supposed to figure out what's the one thing, make that essential, and 10X it. Right. So it was just this perfect pathway that got me to the point where finally I embraced something that I heard way before any of these books. And that was back to our good friend, Stephen Covey, which is ultimately what it comes down to is it's keeping the main thing, the main thing. When you read all of these books and you get all these ideas and you get excited and stimulated, ultimately you're going to want to do more and new, and you're going to talk about more and new, and there's all kinds of things that you're excited about. But remember, chiropractic's greatest hits, right? So you're going to get tired of your content long before your audience will. They're there to hear your greatest hits. Just like when you go to see your favorite band, you want to hear them play those greatest hits. And for your patients, they want to hear the truth. They want to hear about chiropractic and the principle. They want to hear about the subluxation. They want to hear about the adjustment, and they want to make sure that you're keeping the main thing, the main thing.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Remarkable CEO Podcast. Remember, what the world needs now is chiropractic, and what chiropractic needs now is more successful chiropractors. If you like this podcast, please subscribe, share with a friend, and leave us a review. And if you'd like to connect with us personally, direct message us on Facebook, LinkedIn, or Instagram. Now go and be remarkable.